looking to build out this We Summit into a community where we meet quarterly. We have smaller conversations about this, so it doesn't have to be a big all-day conference, but there's a way that we can connect with each other, because I feel like all the women that are in this room today want to continue these conversations. They want to, whether it's to do business, to hang out, have a couple of cocktails, whatever the situation is, they want to be with like-minded women and continue to discuss how we can solve these issues.
Mostly women. How many of you have gone through pregnancy? Show of hands. Okay, if I ask this question in a room full of men, none of them would raise their hand, right? How many of you have gone through perimenopause or menopause? Show of hands. Same thing, right? These are markers in a lot of women's lives that have never been accounted for before. Never accounted for. It's not accounted for in your career journey. It is not accounted for in your rise. It has nothing to do, there's not even accounting for when you go through menopause, what is that like? I think companies are now in the place where they're gonna start to look at what kind of benefits do we need to offer women relative to these pieces of their lives? What kind of programming do we need to do? Do we need to allow people to be part-time during some parts of their lives that we never asked for or allowed for before? The flexibility rise is going to be a part of that. So I think you're going to see this intersection between women, women's health, and wellness, and diversity and inclusion. I think that's coming, and it's going to come for all of the different markers of diversity that exist, but I think women are at the forefront of this, and they're going to be making those changes.
National Grid Ventures is the photo booth sponsor today, and Kimona Ayers, she is one of our power plant managers. She is also going to be on the Be Your Worthy panel today.
Act a different way, but you really have to get your personal together. You have to know who you are. You have to know your flaws. You have to know, you just have to know you're ugly, and you have to know, you have to know yourself, right? Because it shows up in business, and it shows up whether you are a CEO, founder, or whether you are just working.
I was honored to be invited as a panelist for the DEI and NPAC on behalf of AT&T. And the conversation was a great conversation to be had in regards to organization. AT&T is a Fortune 500 company, and we are one to say that we are still of inclusion. We carry that with our mission and have been doing it for 5 decades. So it was humbling to be here and expressing our gratitude for Long Island and the Long Island Herald.
I am looking to learn more about what women need in the areas that we practice, because it's not just what we can impart, but how can we affect your life in a very positive way. Everybody does have a different story, and so coming together, we really understand that although we all basically come from the same place from the day we are born on this earth, our lives head in different directions, and we have different challenges and amazing opportunities. So how can we all work together to help each other? And there's some great speakers on our health and wellness in the afternoon that I'm really interested with Dr. Kafura. That's what I'm interested in this afternoon. The meditation this morning was amazing. Those, I would say, are my hot spots.
Amy had the idea to do something to support the professional women on Long Island. I was lucky enough to grow up in a family business where my mother was a partner with my father, and probably the only thing that was kind of unusual is people would always say she's kind of a tough woman. Nobody ever said that about my father. I didn't realize at the time that was because it was unique to have a woman in business the way my mother was. So growing up and seeing my mom be a full-fledged partner in a successful business was pretty empowering for the family. I then was lucky enough to go on to school and graduate schools where I shared the classroom with very talented people, many of whom, more than half in many cases, were women, both at business school and law school. Went on to be a professional and continued to always work hand in hand with both men and women in what I always felt was a very equal fashion. So hearing from Amy and others and seeing that women often were not treated the same was something that made me think, hey, it makes a lot of sense to have an empowerment summit like we're doing here and making sure that women feel the way they should, no different than men.
So there's actually a couple of different things I've already learned from the seminars that we attended upstairs with diversity and inclusion. And I really think that within the last, you can say last decade that I've been in this industry, that I'm actually so proud to see that there's a involvement for diversity and for inclusion for minorities, which I think is fantastic to see. And I grew up in this type of industry, so it allows me to see the improvement and the, I guess the sponsorship of minorities. And before, without not having that representation there, it makes you feel like you're more included and more comfortable in the environment.
This is our second year as part of the WE conference, and we really enjoy being involved with the Herald and all that they do. And this year we are a workshop sponsor. I spoke about the triple-decker sandwich generation because people are living longer and then women are working longer. They're getting married later, having children later. What we're seeing now, especially in the estate planning and elder law world, is 4 generations of caregiver taking care of their parent, also helping out their child, maybe taking care of their grandchildren, and still working full time. So really just looking at planning for work-life integration and making sure that your family is protected and taken care of.